I'm going to go over a little bit of the background, the science of carnitine. It's very interesting. I think hopefully you'll find it interesting as well in terms of its function in fat metabolism and energy metabolism. Basically, it's positioned for optimum fat-burning support throughout the day, and our bodies cannot burn one molecule of fat without carnitine. It's really a key metabolic precursor to doing that. So in terms of, when we talk about fat burning or fat metabolism, and a lot of focus on fat-burning products are focused on caffeine and those stimulant-type products. Those primarily release fat from fat cells. If we want to use fat as an energy source, and a lot of the research with carnitine in terms of understanding its metabolism actually started out in the exercise world in terms of athletes using fat or trying to stimulate the body to use fat as a fuel. And I'm sure many of you know that free fatty acids or fats are a primary fuel in athletes, especially endurance athletes. So endurance cyclists, marathon runners, things like that. The body, in its wisdom, tends to use concentrated energy for long-term exercise and to promote the use of fat. So using, let's say, the caffeine and the other stimulants, that functions primarily to release fat from fat cells. So it'll kind of release or mobilize fat. And then the next step, as that free fatty acids is found in the bloodstream, gets into the muscle or delivered from the muscle, we want to deliver those free fatty acids into the mitochondria, which are actually the powerhouse organelles of the cell, to generate ATP, and lots of ATP under aerobic or metabolism with oxygen. That's where carnitine plays a role. So basically, I kind of look at this as two steps: release and burn. The caffeine and these other stimulants release fat from fat cells, a process called lipolysis. And there's actually a hormone called hormone-sensitive lipase that is stimulated by caffeine or epinephrine. Actually, caffeine stimulates the adrenals to produce epinephrine. That epinephrine stimulates hormone-sensitive lipase to break down fats from fat cells, liberates free fatty acids. The next step is burning, which is called beta-oxidation, and that's where carnitine plays its primary role. It will actually, what's called a carnitine shuttle, shuttle in fats and also coenzyme A into the mitochondria to burn the fat. So we cannot burn any fat without carnitine. I want to also point out that a lot of these products only work and work most efficiently when you do exercise. Everyone's looking for that magic bullet, and creatine, carnitine, and a lot of these other supplements are most effective when used during exercise or before exercise. So it's always encouraged for your customers not to think that they're just going to take the product and just sit there and expect the results, because they're really not going to see the results that they are looking for. It works well within the whole model of movement and activity, from simple walking to really ultra-endurance exercise, to use a product like this. It also provides energy for athletes during exercise. In fact, the original research on carnitine was done in athletes, and again, focusing on the three fuels that we use during exercise: carbs, fats, and protein if necessary, but really stimulating the body under aerobic conditions to use fats over carbohydrates, because we do have far more fat reserves for doing that. And in terms of performance, L-carnitine has been shown to increase, and these studies are done in marathoner runners, increasing VO2 max in marathoners and cyclists during long-distance events. And this is very important because VO2 max is actually an important measure in terms of a person's ability to perform at high-intensity exercise. So carnitine increases VO2 max, especially in long-distance exercise. In terms of fatigue, carnitine reduces lactic acid, and it spares glycogen. So it will prolong fatigue, and it's a very important factor in doing that. Studies support that. So we all know lactic acid is not a good thing. We've talked a lot about beta-alanine in terms of its function to neutralize lactic acid, but carnitine supplementation actually decreases lactic acid accumulation and spares glycogen, and therefore would delay fatigue and to have the beneficial effect there. In terms of recovery, L-carnitine prior to exercise, especially high-intensity exercise, can significantly reduce muscle pain and decrease muscle damage. And this has been shown in both trained and untrained subjects, so trained athletes and those that are not trained. So again, decreasing the pain, the subjective feeling of pain, which is a complex process, and also delaying that process, enhancing the oxygen availability and blood flow. So it will enhance recovery. So it's very important during exercise for performance, fatigue, and recovery. It promotes the use of fats, and that's really what the body wants to use during exercise. Burn fat. Carnitine is critical in doing that. So a lot of very strong benefits in that. We do have this product in liquid, which makes a lot of sense because pure carnitine is in a liquid form anyways. Many of the carnitine products, carnitine or forms of carnitine in the solid state form, actually starts from a liquid. So it makes sense to have this in a liquid, and it is a great tasting liquid. Delivery in terms of its versatility is very low in calories. There's no sugar. You can see in the supplement facts there's only 15 calories per serving. So it's very low in calories. There's no sugar. It's stimulant-free, so anyone who's interested in a non-stimulating fat burner, this is it. It's in a liquid delivery form. It's in a great tasting. It kind of has a lemon lime or a citrusy taste. When you try it, you'll kind of say it kind of tastes a little bit like 7-Up. It's a wonderful taste. Can be added to full-blown extreme, or really complements a lot of the products in our product line, as you can see in the recommended stack. Clearly in our fat burning. So again, if you're looking at the stimulants like Quadricuts, the Thermexes, the Anabol cuts, things like that, the caffeine and the stimulants will release fat from the fat cells. To burn fat, you need carnitine. And, the carnitine really makes, and the pantothenic acid for the coenzyme A, for the really complete process of burning fat throughout the day.